Hi everyone, Kelvin Hoare here, the Cinephile. Thank you so much for clicking. Thank you so much for watching. As you can tell, I'm not the happiest camper in the world right now. So this video might be a little negative, a little bit of a rant. But today, Warner Brothers announced that their entire slate in 2021 will go to HBO MAX and theaters at the same time, on the same day. So it's called a, date and day release. And this is a seismic shift in the industry, in the business that I love so much, and just that I've been a part of in a very, very small way. But anyways, let me just read something to you. I wrote this on Twitter, and you can follow me on Twitter at the Cinephile34, and also subscribe to this channel. That would be great. So, I'll just read this. Just to get this off of my chest. I love movie theaters. I love going to them. I love watching films with an audience, and I love sharing my experience with others after the film. On the walk to the car, in the car, on the walk home. I really feel that this is a gigantic blow to theaters everywhere, especially America, of course. And will they survive? So this is the question. So Warner Brothers is releasing all 17 of its films in 2021, and I'll go through them quickly later, momentarily, on HBO Max on the same day as theaters. So, and this is what I also say, I hope they do survive, but they will change forever. And more people than ever will stay at home because this is not a one-year plan. So Warner Brothers said this is a one-year plan. This is their intention, and it sucks. It's just business to them, but it really hurts my theatrical experience if the experience changes. And we don't know what's going to happen. And, of course, people's jobs. So it's funny because I see people like making jokes about this, or saying, HBO Max won the streaming wars. It's a war. Wars last a long time. So, did they win? Are they going to win? Possibly. Netflix is way ahead. Disney Plus is ahead. And that's what it comes down to. This is a business decision. Of course, COVID just pushed them off the cliff, right? They were close to the cliff anyways. Absolutely. I'm not making any excuses for that. They're in a difficult position. The business individuals, the suits. But it is a business decision. And so many people, and I know some people on film Twitter, or, watching this might say, well, people have already lost their jobs. Yes, but, we're talking about the theater owners, like the independent theater owners, and even the chains, right? Like AMC, Cineplex in Canada. Many people will lose their jobs, and these are more, not so much the part-time people. I think, the first 8 months of this pandemic has already done that, but people really maybe like their positions and, maybe work in corporates or make decisions like advertising, whatnot. So, and also, that's another thing. If there's no, everything will just change. There's no traditional print and advertising because you're not going to, there will be like Netflix advertises, but it's much more digital. And then if there's less theaters and there's less people working, there's less jobs in that regard. And so I listened to this great podcast on /Film. If you want to check that out, just go to /film.com. And anyway, so I'll go through the films quickly now, because I think that will help us, encapsulate everything. So the films going to HBO Max are Dune, Godzilla vs. Kong, Judas and the Black Messiah, The Little Things, Reminiscence, King Richard, Suicide Squad, or The Suicide Squad, pardon me, Mortal Kombat, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, Malignant, Those Who Wish Me Dead, I can't speak anymore, Matrix 4, Tom and Jerry, In the Heights, Space Jam, A New Legacy, I was actually looking forward to that one, The Many Saints of Newark, Cry Macho. So I noticed that Black Adam was supposed to come out in December 2021. It's not on here, so I think WB will release that in theaters, or are saving it for 2022. The Batman is in 2022. So basically, I'm just saying, I'm trying not to be negative, but, I think everything in balance, right? I mean, as I said before, people on Twitter are making jokes, like saying, WB won the streaming wars, that's great. I mean, people are losing their jobs. So I don't know what's funny about that. And also, I mean, you could argue change is good. I love the theatrical experience, though. I think it's magical. I mean, my first date with my wife, we went to a movie and then had dinner afterwards. So, and I've always loved film. I mean, yes, sometimes at home, like the film is the most important thing, absolutely. But the theatrical experience, just going to the theater, making plans, meeting friends, going with your partner, going with family members. Like I remember going to Mulan with my family, the original animated film, with my cousin. And that was one of the few films I ever watched with him. The whole, the older cousin with all the little cousins. Watching Tangled. Tangled just had its 10-year anniversary last week. Watching Tangled with my mother and sister 10 years ago in a theater. Watching Bolt 12 years ago in the theater. So it is a very special experience to me, and I'm just a little bit sad and a little bit upset. I was getting a little bit emotional at school. I'm a teacher, so yeah, and also just thinking, if you have the option, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think this pandemic, it's sort of bizarre because this pandemic has proven that, people will go to restaurants and people will go to bars, but they won't go to theaters as much for some reason. Maybe it's because you're in the same spots for 2 hours or 3 hours. I don't know. I don't know why that is. And maybe some of the studies have said they don't feel safe, but I see a lot of people going out to eat, right? I know sometimes it's outside, on the patio, but yeah, I mean, and people say, well, you have to eat and then you don't have to watch a movie. But I think if anything this pandemic has proven is people don't like staying home, and I'll just say that. I don't think staying home 20 hours a day or 21 hours a day is healthy. I mean, you need to be outside. You need to interact with people. You need to interact with nature. And I know the cinema, the movie theater is not nature, but just walking, taking a walk, like walking 1 kilometer there and walking 1 km back. I mean, that's better than staying at home and sitting on your tush for, however many hours a day or a week. So anyways, those are all the films. Is it attractive? Yes, it sounds good, right? I mean, you pay in America, I believe it's $14.99 or $15.99 US dollars for the streaming service, and you get all of these films, 17 films coming out next year. Some of them have been shot, so Suicide Squad is finished, or it's in post. Dune is finished. Godzilla vs. Kong, I believe, is finished. So a lot of these films are finished, or they're in post, or almost done. So I understand it's a business decision, and WB has to make money. They have to find a way. But I think it's really these streaming wars. I mean, it's sort of like the grass is greener on the other side, because once Netflix is sort of taking over, and the podcast that I listened to /film, they made a great point, which is this redefines what success is and what is success. Okay, so I think Netflix is number of viewers, but if they have 200 million viewers and 100 million watch Extraction, I mean, is that impressive? Yes. Is that a success? Yes, but they're at home. They're watching it because they're bored. It's like YouTube, right? The views on YouTube. I think going to the theater, actually moving your body, taking your car, walking, paying that money, making plans, going with friends and family, I mean, that means a lot. Like, that's why, and if this is the end, it's been a good run. I've had theaters, and it's a relatively normal thing to do for over 30 years of my life, or almost 30 years. So, yeah, it's just a little bit sad. I think, from the podcast I watch, and will this affect movies, like how you make movies? I don't know. Sorry, just seeing how much time I have left there. So, yes, I mean, I think, is this the death knell? Is this the death blow to movie theaters? Yes and no. I mean, I do think it's more serious than some people are considering it. I think it is a serious blow. It's because of the pandemic as well. So we're not going to be back to safety levels like big box office, like $50 million openings or $60 million openings, or even $100 million openings until next summer at the earliest. So summer 2021. Possibly spring 2022 with the Batman. I think most people would want to watch that in theaters, but then some people will want to watch it at home. And this is really, you know, I know I'm all over the place, but my main point is that I think the theaters have to adapt and change and maybe become better, become more like Alamo draft houses, and that's in the US, and in Canada like VIP theaters, which improved. Like the first time we went, the food wasn't very good. I think this was in 2017 or 2018, and then steadily the food was better, and now it's one of our favorite treats to go to VIP. And it's a little more expensive, but I think that's where it's going. So I think movie theaters may go the way of drive-in theaters, where they exist. They might be further apart. And will this take time to change? Yes. I mean, I don't know. The pandemic, I think, is sort of speeding, helping theaters to their death, which is really unfortunate. I know there are more important things, people obviously dying from this, but this is what the YouTube channel that I have is about. So, yeah, I mean, I just think it's really unfortunate. I mean, I understand WB's position, and I think day and date was the way to do it. Announcing it like this is very aggressive, and they've planted their feet, and they want HBO Max to be a huge success, because this is the business very quickly. Netflix has over 200 million subscribers. Disney Plus has over 70 million subscribers, I believe, or 60 million subscribers, which is what they wanted to hit like 2 years from now. They've already hit it. HBO Max has 8 million subscribers, I believe, or 7.5, somewhere in that region. So it's all very. I'm just double checking here. Yeah, 8.6 for HBO Max, 73 million for Disney Plus. Let's check Netflix. Sorry. Netflix has 193, so almost 200 million. So this is where it is. Like, everyone wants to be in the streaming business because you get subscribers. Obviously, you charge a monthly fee or a yearly fee. You make money that way, and it's changing. People's habits are changing. So I think this is more than a test. Some people are saying, oh, it's just a test for the year. I mean, it is that. Like, if it fails somehow, I don't know. I can't see it failing. Because there's just too much content. So, like, there's too much good content that people want to see. Like Dune. People are so passionate about that film. I had more views. It was my second most viewed video or third most viewed video. I had more comments on that video than any video I've ever had out of like 30 videos. Like, I had like a dozen comments of people educating me about Dune. So there's like a huge passion for that film. And so people will pay for it. Yes. Is it a single person? No. It's going to be, a person paying for it and watching with their partner. So it's cheaper that way. But I mean, it's just going to drive subscriptions. So if they're at 8.6 million, this will, I mean, I can see, 5 for sure, but 10 by January next year, because remember Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming on this. So my point is, it's just a business. It's a business decision. Were they pushed into it? Are they between a rock and a hard place? Yes, but it is still a business decision. It's cold. They're going to kill theaters or change theaters dramatically. Like I think, that podcast I listened to /film, they said theaters will change into sort of like Broadway. Like it'll be $100 to go to the theater, by the time my children are my age. So in 30 years or 25 years, whatever. And so it'd be like $50 or $60 just to get a seat. And if you want concessions, another $10 or whatever. That's too cheap, $15. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit frightening. I mean, is this good for consumers? The streaming wars and WB doing this? Possibly. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think staying home all the time is healthy. I think you have to get out. And if you're home, if you have all this good content at home, then why would you go out, right? Like, why would you go to the movie theater? It's safer at home. So, and I understand that that's another reason, safety for the next 6 months until summer 2021. The vaccine is starting to roll out next week, I believe, in the UK. So it'll be here early next year. But my point is that I just think overall, this is, a sad day for movie theaters. I think they'll change. They might become more niche, more expensive, possibly cleaner, possibly better. Who knows? Could it be a blessing in disguise? Possibly. But if they're further away, like if I have to drive an hour to go to a movie theater, if they're more expensive, then that's not good for my wallet. But yeah, and I love the experience. Like I teach, so I want to see my grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 students go to the movie theater. Like I want them to enjoy the movie theater. So it's really unfortunate because I already hear it just gauging the temperature. They're already used to it, right? They're already used to staying at home and watching. What did they watch? Over the Moon recently, which is good. But they watched Over the Moon recently. They watched other films, right, on various streaming services. So yes. So I think, overall, I mean, I just think it's both shocking and not shocking, right? It's sort of like when you hear about it, it's like, whoa, that's a huge decision. And this is probably the biggest news of the decade in terms of the film industry. Yeah, it's the biggest news of the decade. It's bigger than Disney buying Star Wars, Disney buying Fox. Like those are two huge stories in the past 10 years. But this is bigger because it changes the whole game. Like it changes how films are made. Like will films be cheaper? Will films be crappier now because they're on a streaming service? So people's expectations aren't as much. Even if you have a nice screen, even if you have like a 50-inch, 75-inch, 100-inch nice television, will it just change things? And will the films themselves be worse and cheaper? And because Netflix or HBO MAX or Disney Plus even, they'll say, well, we can film it with these cameras, and you don't have to film it that wide, and you don't have to put that much money into it because people are watching it on the television screen. It's not theatrical where you can really see if something looks bad or something doesn't look as good in terms of special effects, in terms of how it's shot. So I think these are all questions that we can ask. So just to finish off my point, I think there's so many questions like what is a success on streaming? I mean subscribers, how many views it has, but I mean Netflix does, if you watch The Witcher, an 8-episode series, if you watch one episode for 2 minutes, that counts, right? It's very creative. It's very cheap, basically, but it's very creative, sort of creative accounting almost. Like you're just making things up. Like, oh yeah, it's a success, So like, how many people came to your presentation? 1,000. How many people bought your product? 100. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then not telling how many people actually watch the whole thing. It's yeah, it's very creative and cheap in a way. But so my point is, I think, there's so much discussion to be had. I just want to finish. I don't want to rant too long, but it's just, yeah. I mean, I hope the films don't change. I really hope the films don't change themselves. Like, I hope, well, and will there always be talented people? Yes, of course. But, I mean, if the studio's like, hey, you don't need 10 million, you need 5 million for this film because it's going to television. Like, people will watch this on television, so why do you need that expensive camera? Why do you need 100 extras when you can't even see them? Like, literally, you can't see them. The way you're shooting it, you can't see it. Yeah, so it's just really unfortunate, I think. I love the movie going experience. I hope it continues. I hope I can bring my children to it one day when they're old enough. So that's quite some time from now, 5, 6, 7 years. But yeah, I hope we can watch movies together and create memories that last a lifetime, and they can fall in love with movies. Of course, the movie is the most important thing, but the theatrical experience too. Like, it's, I mean, just watching it on a huge screen to a child is just, to anyone really, it just sort of affects you. Like, imagine watching Avengers Endgame on a television screen for the first time versus on, that beautiful silver screen. So it's really, it's unfortunate. I'm trying not to get emotional. But, yeah, I love movies. Let me know what you think in the comments, please. I would love to hear what you think about this, what your feelings are. What did you feel when you first heard this news? Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment. I really want to hear your thoughts. Yeah, and that's about it. So thank you so much for watching. I know this isn't really positive or happy, but yeah, I try to keep the balance. I know, it's a tough situation. A pandemic is not fun for anyone to go through, and I don't think, like, everyone's pushed, basically. Like, there's a little bit of pressure for everyone, right? I think, like, Disney would have never put Mulan on Disney Plus if there was no pandemic. They would have just released it and put it on Disney Plus afterwards. Netflix will do what it Netflix will do what it does. Universal wouldn't have put Trolls 2 on PVOD, and WB wouldn't be doing this on this day, on December 3rd, 2020, right? So this is a significant day. I think you can remember when the film industry changed. I think there's very few times where it's changed. Like, the first feature-length film, like maybe Wizard of Oz, these very monumental films like Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, Snow White, and when color came in, when sound came in for film, 3D. What was the first 3D film? Like Avatar. Whether you like it or hate it, it's that sort of watershed moment. It's like a cultural moment for cinema and the world too. Like, I think if there's no box office, like, how do you say, how much do you see how many, how much money that film made? Do you know what I mean? Like, it has to do, like, incredibly well. I think Extraction, they released the numbers on Monday, I think, or maybe a week later, because they always do, like, monthly, right? And then that's already 4 weeks after everyone's seen the film. So in terms of cultural moments, I think it changes culture as well, which is really unfortunate. I think just that buzz, and I mean, there will be a buzz when people really love a film. Like, what was it? What was it? Will You Be My Maybe, right? I think there was a buzz about that, but I don't know, it's different. It's like, I remember just the buzz about Casino Royale and Borat when I was in university. I think that was first year university, and or second year, and it was just so, no, it was first year, and it was so, like, people were just talking about it. I was like, oh, stop talking about it, I want to watch it. It's like, gosh darn it. So yeah, that's really unfortunate, but anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Happier times are ahead, hopefully. Stay safe. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.